So as I said, there will come a time in the Bible that it says, every knee shall bow, every tongue will confess that he is Lord. And I thought to myself, but how is that possible? How is it possible that every tongue will confess, every knee will bow? How is that possible? Because, I mean, if you look at the world today, many people have different opinions. But then I thought about, and I got this recollection of, wait a minute, we are not our own. We are not bought by ourselves. And if I look at a representation, because there was always a representation that shows or that reveals God. There's always things happening here on earth in the physical realm that is happening in the spirit. And I spoke about this before. And something very interesting, if you look at yourself, if you look at the make of your body, the make of your bloodstream, if you look at the authority you have over your body, you may speak through it, you may move through it, you may think through it, you may see through it, you may smell, you may have all these senses, but there are senses and things that you don't have control over. You don't have control over your heartbeat. And you might not realize this, but because everything has a frequency, why? Let me just go a little bit into this. Frequency is a language. Hear me? Frequency is a language. I had a very interesting thought about tongues being a frequency. Because I always wondered, why do we get to a part where you are so in the spirit that you start to speak tongues? Now, some people speak tongues naturally. And this is a gift, right? It's one of the fruits. But understand that tongues are supposed to be a conversation between you and God, not a conversation between you and the rest of the people. It is not a show-off technique. It is a personal conversation between you and God. Only God knows what you're saying. And only you are speaking to Him. The Bible, I believe it was Hannah. Hannah was on her knees speaking, and she had no words. But yet she was speaking to God, and it looked as if, now I don't know if she was speaking in tongues, but she was speaking a language, and she was speaking unto God. So understand that when we speak in that tone or in that frequency, it is a praise, it is a personal praise unto God. It is not meant to show other people that we can speak it. It is meant to show, it is meant for God. It is meant for Him alone. And you must make it personal. All that God requires is just a hallelujah, a praise, a glory. He is simplistic, yet complex. He is complex, yet simple. So getting back to the frequency, a frequency is a praise. Otherwise, frequency has no purpose. They have found that frequency can power items. There was a gentleman, I can't remember the name of the gentleman, but he was here in, I believe, in Africa. Okay? But this gentleman found a way to power batteries using frequency. Very interesting. So I thought to myself, but why would frequency power? It is a praise. And because it is a praise, it is a power. But we have not learned that power does not come from man, it comes from God. And to have power does not mean that you dominate. To have power means that you are in humility. Because God does not need to show his hand of how great he is. You can look at creation and you can see how great God is. Because still, you can create a career in your entire life. And now I'm going a little bit off point, but just hear me because I'm just flowing. I'm allowing him to flow. So you can literally create a career out of each and every item, out of one item. If you choose a plant, you can create a career around that plant and figuring it out. Because there's so much more. How is it that there's creation surrounding us that lives longer than us? It outlives you. It is because God meant it. It is because God meant us to be here longer. He meant more for us. But unfortunately, we're down to 120 years because of our ways. So hear me. As I said, it is a frequency, and the frequency is a praise. So your heartbeat, although it's a vibration, it's a frequency. Let's think about it just reasonably. It is a frequency, and this frequency gives a praise. Your body gives a frequency, your body gives a praise. Your step. When you step, there's a rhythm to it. Maybe we can call it a frequency. There's a tempo. So we are literally an instrument of praise, and therefore we are afforded grace by Jesus Christ. Because even if you're not a believer, this is amazing. This is why God's love extends even further than what you can comprehend. Because even if you're not a believer, he still affords you a portion of grace. Because we all belong to him. So here's what I'm trying to say. Okay? Coming back to my point. If your heart doesn't listen to you and say, if you tell your heart, listen, hey heart, can you just slow down a little bit? When you're in a so now there are always, yes, I get it, meditation, focus, all kind of thing, like breathing. But I'm talking about real authority over your body. You don't. You may decide what you want to eat, as in, meat or fruits or whatever. But you don't decide how the food is mashed up. You don't decide how your body renews its skin. It's, you don't decide the cycles. You don't decide on various things. So there is a big portion of your body that you're not in control of. But who is? Who do you think? So let me tell you something. When if you haven't realized this, and this is depicted in the Bible actually, with Daniel. But it is just a small depiction. It is just a small, peek. It's a sneak peek, if you will. That when Jesus steps on this earth, when he steps in front of us, when he comes with his glory, here's why every knee will bow and every tongue. Your tongue will deny you. Your body will deny you, whether you're a believer or whether you're not a believer. Because not only will the lie be ripped off, which is the nature of sin, which is the image of sin that you carry when you don't allow God to cleanse that, and you don't allow relationship with Jesus. It is going to be removed, and you will know the truth. And your body itself will know the truth. So whether you are in whichever category of belief, your body will deny you. And here's how your body will deny you. And this is actually shown with Daniel. With what was it? Was it Daniel? Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. Yes. There was a part with is it now Daniel? Okay, I just need to check on that. But I think I'm pretty confident it's Daniel. So when Nebuchadnezzar came and overtook the land, right? That I believe Jeremiah was told to tell the Israelites about, and he overtook the land. Long story short, eventually it got to this part where he put, because they did not, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego did not want to worship their god, Nebuchadnezzar's god, or idol, they wanted to put them in the fire. But something amazing happened in this moment. Nebuchadnezzar was not a believer of God. He was a believer of witchcraft, of magic, of sorcery, of all kinds of things that did not pertain to God, but still grabbed sort of like a remnant from God. Grabbed a portion, had access to a portion. Because remember, the enemy has access. He understands the source. He understands that the source for all of life is Jesus. It is God. Okay? So he is privy to that source because of the relationship he had with God. The enemy, okay? He has a relationship with God. No matter what you might think, he has a relationship with God. He's against us as God's creation because of the portion God has given to us. You gotta think of it this way. It's like a jealous, we're adopted, and the enemy is jealous that we're adopted because, and we are going to receive more than what he is. Okay, just an example. Okay, so as I was saying, every knee will bow, every tongue will confess. This is because of your whole being will deny yourself. And Nebuchadnezzar, when he looked in the fire, now I'm skipping a bit, but when he looked in the fire, he said, I saw four people. I saw four people. Four. I'm struggling to talk. I saw four people in the fire. And something very interesting happened. He looked in the furnace that killed the people that were throwing them into the furnace. It killed them. That's how hot it was. Because it was heated about 7 times. And he looked in the fire, and who did he see? Now, any person that looks and even sees a fourth person in a fire or a flame or a furnace will say, wow, didn't we throw in 3? There's a fourth person. No. Something amazing happened. And he said, wait a minute, that's the Son of God right there. His body denied everything that he was taught, everything that he knows. And his body said, no. You're not going to call him just any person. That is the Son of God standing right there in the flame. Nebuchadnezzar was not a worshiper of God. He was not a worshiper of Jesus. And by Jesus, I mean Jesus the Father. Don't get confused. So if Nebuchadnezzar, when he saw the fullness and the pureness of God, could say something that literally in that very moment you would think, if you just heard what he just said, you'd think, no, this guy's a believer, because he said something that he said something that was where Jesus complimented Peter when Peter revealed this. When Peter said that thou art the Messiah, thou art the Son of God. And he complimented Peter and said, flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my heavenly Father. Right? I might be paraphrasing. Bear with me. So right there, if you go back to Nebuchadnezzar, he did the very same thing. But the difference is, Nebuchadnezzar never knew about the Son of God, nor believed in him. And yet, he called him out. He said, that's the Son of God right there. Now, if Nebuchadnezzar, who did not believe, could call out the Son of God just by looking upon him in a flaming furnace, how much more do you think when God reveals himself and steps upon this earth for the second coming? You will confess. Your body will deny you. Everything that you have been taught, it will be abolished, and you will acknowledge the Most High. It is not up to you. If it was, then you would be able to turn your hair that is black right now, you would be able to turn it gray, and not by a dye. Not by any manipulation. You would be able to do it at will. You would be able to control your heartbeat. You would be able to understand the inner workings of your body, but you do not. For God has given everyone a portion. And you know how I know that? If you look at the 2 fishes and the 5 loaves, everybody was hungry, but they did not all have the same hunger. They had different levels of hunger, and God satisfied all of them. Do not think that because here's the thing, some were very hungry, some were not so hungry. Some needed to feed just their families because they were okay. All of us have a portion, and he not only fed them to their full on every level, but he also had more to come. 12 baskets full. If you don't come to the realization that God does not fit in your reasonable box, that if you look at your very being, you do not get to where you need to go, and you do not develop without following the principles of God. And those principles are, you have to go through a change, you have to go through a bit of suffering, pain, you have to go through the bursting forth, which is the Gihon River. There is the 4 rivers. I'm going to tell you real quick, but you can look into it yourself. The Pison River, it means change. In Hebrew, there's a word for it, but it means change. If you look at the Gihon River, it means bursting forth. If you look at the Hiddekel River, it is swiftly. If you look at the Euphrates River, it means fruitful. God is literally spelling out the process of your development. And you don't get nowhere without going through it. So I'm going to end it off right there. Thank you so much for listening. If this has helped you and revealed God to you in a deeper way, then turn your life to Him. I promise you, the roads that are crooked He will make straight. The love that you want and desire that you will not find on this earth, you will find it with God. You will find it with Jesus. So turn your heart to Him. I'm not pleading with you because it's to His benefit. I am pleading with you because it's to yours. Thank you for listening. God bless.